Well, they need to go through me first.
You're in
Hi.
charge.
We are live on YouTube, so I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Robert and Sharon. The mic is all yours.
Okay. Do you want me to start with this or? Okay.
I can read it if you want me to read
Okay.
it.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
you'll
I
start.
want to tell you what I picked out. I mean, I saw that he put something on Facebook that I liked. Wait a minute, Robert. It was the last one that you wrote because it was I'm sustained by the love of God. That was just so good.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw
Do you
that.
want to start? Do you want to start with the prayer and so on, or do you want me to do
Yeah,
the
okay. McCallie's here too, so that's great. Okay. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Okay.
Okay. I've got a couple of things, notes from Bob. The nice thing about being under 8 or over 80, they cut you a lot of slack. Kindle books for free today, April 21st, 26th, and next Tuesday, April 28th. Last week, it was a short list.
Where's the one that said I'm sustained by the love of God? I thought I saw that.
Okay. All right. He got ahead of himself. So just a second. All right. So this week he has a lot more. To see the whole list and pick the essays you want to read, click this link, which is on the page, or search free Kindle books by Robert D. Sears. Scroll to find each title. Pass the word, link, and dates to friends, family, anyone you want to bless with thoughts from ACIM. My goal is to give away over 1,000 books this month. As of this moment, we have taken over 172 orders today. Upgrade or add your order ASAP. And what do you want to do with it? Okay. Age is a lie. The illusion of decline and the power that remains is a gentle reflection on the spiritual truth that purpose is not bound by age, time, or the body. Inspired by the principles of A Course in Miracles, it invites us to see that what we are is still whole, still creative, and still guided right now. What the world calls late may simply be the moment we are finally ready to listen, receive, and extend what has always been within us. Available now on Amazon, free on Tuesday. Okay, and he'll put the thing in the chat for you. All right, and what's the just a reminder? Okay, any member or visitor to ACIM Gather should request free digital copies of any book anytime. Please don't buy copies, just ask. Your love and support is enough. I am looking for book translators, any and all languages. This represents an income stream for the translators. Google Translate is okay. Anyone can apply. No language or translating experience necessary. I will train people in Zoom meetings. Ask for a copy of the proposed agreement and options. I could do this myself if I was 39 again, but there are 50 books and several hundred languages. You do the math. LOL, Robert@DinoJamesBooks.com. Now for the dissertations le mardi, essays on Tuesday. This part isn't about what I want to say, it's about what you may need to hear. So who would like to choose an essay to read? And Sharon, you had one that you want?
Yeah, I'll pick the one. I'm sustained by the love of God. Whatever you want. What Robert wants.
Okay, hang on.
All right, give me a minute. I gotta find it.
Yeah, hang on. Do you remember which site it was on, Sharon?
It's not,
Oh,
Now I saw it on Facebook.
okay.
it's not posted yet.
Okay, well, can she just read it by herself or?
I gotta find it.
Well, just pick any. I don't care which one it is. They're all good.
Fix it now.
Um, when nothing is hidden?
No,
Okay, pick something else out, Sharon, for right now.
Okay. A sense of lack. That's up here. Now I was going to say there's one I really like. Our children are.
Oh, there we go. There we go. A sense of lack.
Okay, you have to bring it up a little, Sherry, because it's closer. Okay. There's a quiet assumption that sits beneath much of human experience. It rarely announces itself directly, yet it colors nearly everything we see, think, and do. It is the feeling that something is missing, something essential, something that if only it were added would finally make things right. We call it many things: need, desire, ambition, fear, but at its root is a sense of lack. A Course in Miracles offers a simple but radical statement that cuts directly into this assumption. You are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality. If this is true, then the sense of lack is not a condition we are in, it is a condition we believe. Let's look at a few ordinary trials, not as isolated problems, but as expressions of this one underlying idea. A person loses a job. On the surface, the problem appears financial. Income is gone, bills remain. The mind immediately begins calculating, what do I not have? What will happen if I don't get more? Anxiety follows quickly behind, but beneath the numbers is something deeper: a loss of identity, a fear of being less than, a quiet belief that without the role, something essential has been taken away. Another person is in a strained relationship. Words are exchanged, misunderstandings piles up, distances grow. It feels like a lack of love, a lack of understanding, a lack of being seen. The temptation is to assign blame outward. If only they would change, then I would feel whole again. But notice what it's assumed, that something needed to come from outside, and now it is missing. A third person scrolls through news headlines, conflict, division, suffering. The world appears broken. The reaction may be anger, grief, or helplessness. But again, beneath the reaction is the same thread. Something is not as it should be. Something is lacking in humanity, in leadership, in goodness itself. Even in quieter moments, the pattern continues. A glance in the mirror becomes a comparison. A social interaction becomes a measurement. A future plan becomes a solution to a perceived deficiency. When I have this, when I achieve that, when things finally change, then I will be at peace. This is the structure of lack. What makes it so convincing is that it appears in so many forms. It wears the mask of practicality. It sounds reasonable. It often feels urgent, yet it is always pointing in the same direction, outward, forward, elsewhere. The Course invites a different kind of inquiry. Not how do I fix this, but what am I assuming is missing? If we follow that question, honestly, something interesting begins to happen. Take the job loss again. Yes, there are practical steps to take. Those are not denied, but alongside them, there is another possibility to notice the thought, I am less without this. Is that actually true, or is it a belief learned and repeated so often it feels like fact? In relationship conflict, instead of asking, what are they not giving me what I need? Why are they not giving me what I need? We might ask, what am I demanding that I believe I do not already have? Is it love, respect, safety? And if those are qualities of being rather than commodities to be exchanged, where do they actually come from? In looking at the world's problems, we might pause before concluding that lack is real on a global scale. What if what we are seeing is a shared belief in lack, played out collectively, a belief that resources are limited, the worth must be earned, that power must be taken from others to be held? From this perspective, the trials begin to look different. They are not punishments or random misfortunes. They are reflections. They show us where we still believe something essential is missing. And this is where the quote becomes more than words. You are at home in God, dreaming of exile. In the sense of lack as part of a dream of exile, then no amount of rearranging the dream will resolve it. We can improve conditions, and that has value. You have to move it up, but the underlying tension will remain as long as the promises is unchallenged, but perfectly capable of awakening in reality. This is the turning point. Awakening in this context is not about acquiring something new. It is about recognizing that what seemed to be missing was never absent. It is a shift from seeking to remembering. This does not mean denying the experience of lack. It feels real. It has consequences. But instead of treating it as truth, we begin to treat it as a signal, a pointer, a moment to pause and question, what am I believing right now? Where am I looking for completion? Is it possible that what I think I need is already present but overlooked? These are the questions that demand immediate answers. They are invitations. And over time, something subtle begins to change. The urgency softens, the constant reaching outward relaxes. Moments of peace begin to appear, not because conditions have been perfected, but because the belief in lack is being genuinely undone. This is the dramatic. This is not dramatic. It does not make headlines. It happens quietly in ordinary situations. You notice a moment of irritation and see expectation behind it. You feel a wave of fear and recognize the story fueling it. You experience a sense of gratitude without needing a reason. Each of these is a small interruption in the pattern of lack. And slowly, the idea that something is missing begins to lose its grip. What replaces it is not a grand declaration of abundance, but simple, steady recognition nothing essential has been taken from you. Not your worth, not your capacity to love, not your connection to what is real. The world may still present its challenges. Jobs will change, relationships will evolve, events will unfold in ways we cannot control. But the interpretation of those events begins to shift. They are no longer evidence of lack. They become opportunities to see where the belief in lack still hides. And each time it is seen clearly without defenses, it weakens. Perhaps this is what Course means by forgiveness. Not forgiving specific actions in isolation, but releasing the belief that anything real has been lost. If nothing real can be threatened, then nothing real can be lacking. And if nothing real is lacking, then the search that has driven so much of our experience begins to come to rest. Not because we have found what we were looking for, but because we realize we never left it. The trials remain, but their purpose changes. They are no longer obstacles to peace. They become the very means by which the illusion of lack is gently, steadily undone.
Thank you, Sharon.
That was
Any
beautiful.
comments?
Yeah, the comment I have is that it's so clear on that's a very unconscious belief that we believe that we're not worthy. We don't believe we have enough. We always want more. And it's so clear in stating how we tried the search. Like, for instance, like I was in my den and I got hungry. So I ate something, but then I wanted more. I wasn't hungry anymore. But the mind was in control and the mind wanted more. So when I caught that, I realized, well, okay, I don't need more. The mind, I'm not the mind. So I reminded myself. So that was beautiful. Does anybody else have any questions? Want to contribute to this at all? Anybody want to say anything? Mickey. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Mickey.
What a universal theme this is. I don't think there's anyone in the world who doesn't have an experience of lack in one area of their life or another. And it's all because we have a sense of lack of connection with the divine. That's all it is. That's all it can ever be.
Yes.
And it stems from that. But we just like all of our triggers are different, just like all of our um, manifestations of other things are different. This feeling of lack is just going to come up through our filter of where we have that sense of ourselves. So thanks, and that was a great topic. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mickey.
I think we fall down into that all the time. It's always, I want more, I want this, I want that. I hope I can do that again. It's constant in our belief system.
Would anyone else like to look at the list and pick what they would like to hear next? Yes.
McKelly.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I agree with what Sharon said and Mickey said on Robert's writings, and that it's never ending. The body is a need machine, and like it's like a bottomless pit, I mean, it just goes on and on and on, and it's constantly one distraction after another, and it's endless. And I agree with what Mickey said too. It comes from that original belief, that original thought of separation. So I love Robert's writing. So I just wanted to comment that I agree with what they both said. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if no one else has picked something, how about the world's worst customer service department? There we go. Okay, would someone like to read this? Then I will.
I can read it if you, well, you can read it and then
Yeah.
I'll read it if
Okay,
somebody else.
we can trade off.
Okay.
The world's worst customer service department. There is a department inside the human mind that deserves serious attention. Unfortunately, it is also the worst customer service department ever created. This department is called the ego. Now imagine you had a problem with a product you purchased. Naturally, you would call customer service for help. Hello, you say politely. Something seems to be wrong with my peace of mind. Immediately, the ego answers the phone. Thank you for calling the ego support line, it says cheerfully. Your dissatisfaction is very important to us. Please hold while we make everything worse. A moment later, the advice begins. You're upset. Good. Let's find someone to blame. The ego has one specialty. It solves problems by creating new ones. If you say someone hurt your feelings, the ego quickly offers a solution. You should replay the conversation in your head for the next 3 days. That will definitely help. If you say someone criticized you, the ego responds with enthusiasm. You must defend yourself immediately. Also, rehearse your speech in the shower for at least a week so you'll be prepared in case the conversation happens again in 2037. If you say you feel anxious about the future, the ego becomes extremely productive. No problem, it says. Let's imagine 37 terrible things that might happen. Preparation is important. The ego calls this thinking. From a distance, it looks more like panic with a clipboard. The strange part is that most of us trust this department completely. Whenever something goes wrong, we dial the same number and wait for the same advice. And the ego never disappoints. It always has a plan. The plan is usually some version of defend yourself, analyze everything, worry constantly, and above all, never admit you might be mistaken. In fact, the ego has a very unusual definition of success. If you manage to remain angry, fearful, and defensive long enough, the ego considers the problem resolved. Now imagine if any real customer service department worked like this. You call because your washing machine is broken. Have you tried being furious about it? The technician asks. No, you reply cautiously. Well, you should. And while you're at it, blame your opposing political party. That usually helps. You would hang up immediately. But when the ego gives exactly the same advice about life, we often treat it like a respected consultant. The ego support line is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In fact, it is so dedicated to customer service that it occasionally wakes you up at 3 in the morning. just to review something embarrassing you said in 1994. You remember that meeting? Voice whispers. Let's analyze it again. This is one of the ego's favorite services, the Historical Regret Department. They specialize in restoring ancient memories to full emotional intensity. A harmless comment made 15 years ago can be replayed in the mind with such vivid detail that it feels like breaking news. The ego also operates a future disaster division. This department works tirelessly to imagine events that have not happened yet. It studies possibilities, expands them, improves them, and occasionally turns a minor concern into a full cinematic production involving failure, embarrassment, and social collapse. The remarkable thing is that none of these departments have ever solved anything. Yet the ego proudly continues its work. Over time, however, some people begin to notice a pattern. Every time they follow the ego's instructions, the situation becomes heavier. The mind fills with arguments, predictions, regrets, and elaborate explanations about why everything is someone else's fault. Eventually, a quiet suspicion appears. Maybe the customer service department is the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, are you done?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, any comments other than laughter?
I love it. It sounds just like my head.
Anybody else? Mickey?
Yeah, I laughed a lot on that one. That was great. But what I especially loved was the categorizing of the departments. You know, the future worry department and the past regret department. I think if we can file them away, we can be much better at letting go of them and or just saying, oh, look, there it is again. That's the future fear department. Okay, I'm going to put you in this drawer in this cabinet marked future fear department, and maybe that can help me let go of it a little bit. Thanks.
And I think that's important, being able to let go of it and to recognize that it doesn't have to become our major issue of the day. Yes, Rico, you're mute. Rico,
Sorry, I
you're
thought
mute.
this was the telepathy meeting. Good
That's
evening,
all right.
family and
That's
friends.
all right.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I send your love and light from my heart to yours. Robert, you are a genius. That is really the poster child for pointing to all the things we could just travel lighter if we could just let those departments go. I'm going to see if I can get a copy of that and make all those departments dysfunctional in my area because you were hitting it on the nail head. And I love it. I love your style anyway, but that took me to the next level. The ego, the unsatisfactory customer department. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it to life and making us smile because I've had some of those instances in my life with my thinking. So we're going to have to close that department down. Thank you for your genius and your humor and especially your love.
Okay. Would someone like to pick the next one? I see several that look funny, but I'm not sure. Hearse with a U-Haul. I don't know and I don't care. Bob says that's a good one. It's over here. Do we have someone who would like to read that one?
I'll give it a whirl.
Okay.
I don't know and I don't care. I have often looked at the words ignorance and empathy and reduced them to something simple. I don't know and I don't care. It sounds dismissive, maybe even a little lazy, but the more I sit with it, the more I wonder if there is something quietly profound hidden inside these words. We live in a world that demands our attention. We are expected to know what is happening everywhere all the time. We are expected to have opinions, take sides, and care deeply about things we only did I not read that right?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I thought I heard someone correct me. We are expected to have opinions, take sides, and care deeply about things we only learned about 5 minutes ago. Not caring is treated almost like a moral failure. But is it? Do I really need to know everything? My head says yes. And even if I could, what would it give me? Would it bring clarity or just more noise? There is a difference between ignorance and humility. Ignorance says, I don't know because I haven't looked. Humility says, I don't know because I don't need to pretend I do. That second one feels lighter. It leaves space. It admits that not everything is mine to figure out. And then there is apathy. I don't care. That phrase has a bad reputation. It sounds like indifference, like turning away from life. But I am beginning to see another possibility. What if I don't care doesn't mean I care about nothing? What if it means I have become more careful about what I choose to care about? I like that. From a spiritual perspective, the question becomes simple. Does this bring me peace or does it take it away? If it takes it away, maybe I don't need to care about it. That does not mean I stop caring about people. It does not mean I stop caring about kindness, truth, or love. It means I stop investing myself in things that have no real value. Endless arguments that need to be right, the constant pull to react to every disturbance that passes through my awareness. Humor helps me see this more clearly. So much of what feels urgent in the moment fades almost immediately. Yesterday's outrage becomes today's forgotten headlines. Yet, while it is happening, it feels like everything. Maybe that is the real joke. So I'm beginning to see these two phrases differently. I don't know can be the beginning of wisdom. I don't care can be the beginning of peace. Not because I am checked out, but because I am checking in with something deeper. If I were to refine it, I might say it this way. I don't need to know everything. I don't need to care about what isn't real. That is not ignorance. That is discernment. And perhaps that is the quiet shift we are all being invited to make.
Okay, I'll ask
Huh.
him.
I love that one, and it was not by coincidence that I got to read it.
Never did.
Any other comments or
I gotta
reflections?
say ditto. I love that too, Rob. That is so beautiful. You've already lightened my load twice. Thank you.
Rico, while we're at it, Bob wants to know what is the one you wanted him to send by email?
No, which
Oh.
email?
Which
the
email?
world's worst customer service department.
No,
And-
not that. It was the
Okay.
one, Rick, I asked you about last week. And I asked you,
Oh,
did you have Rob's email? It was last week we read it, and it just resonated with every fiber of my being. I'm not sure I know the title.
yeah.
I think it was one of the last ones we read last week.
All right, well, if you think of it again, or if you see it, then holler, okay?
Is it in this list, or is this a completely different list?
No, it would probably be a different list
I
because he
thought so.
tends to pull them out.
Okay.
Well, let's see what we can do to find it, okay? But if you think of any other specifics that might help, we'll try and get it to you.
It had me on the edge of my seat. I know that. So it'll come to
It
me.
was on
I
the
ask
edge of
Holy
your seat.
Spirit because their memory is much better than mine.
All right, I question, can you go back because it's on YouTube and find it again?
No, but he can.
Okay, so you could find it on YouTube.
Okay.
If you play the whatever week it was, YouTube.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go on YouTube and look at last week's recording, and then I'll get the name of it. Thank you for asking, Robert.
Super, thank you. All right, we still have time for one more. Somebody else?
I have one.
Yes,
I'm curious about the Christ name or title. Sort of sparked my curiosity.
there we go. Okay. And do you want to read that or you want to have Sharon read it?
Well, I love Sharon. I love her voice even more. So that's a difficult choice. I would probably get more if Sharon reads it because I can listen better than I can read and listen.
Okay, Sharon, do you hear that? Sharon?
Okay, she might be busy. I'll read it.
I'm not busy. No, I just went and just couldn't get it undone.
That's all right. That's okay.
All right. Okay. Rico wants me to read this, right? Okay. You don't want to read it, Rico?
I get a little more when you read it because I get to just listen.
Okay. I feel that way too sometimes, but okay.
Well, start it, and if you
Well, actually,
want,
it's both. It's
I'll
both. I
pick it
get
up.
I get a lot out of it, and I'll tell you why. Because it's so simplistic. It doesn't. It gets right to the point, and it turns out the responsibility over to us. Anyway, the Christ, name or title. We grow up hearing the phrase Jesus Christ so often that it begins to sound like a single name, as if Christ was simply a last name attached to a historical figure. It rolls off the tongue without much thought. But what if that assumption quietly limits everything that follows? What if Christ was never meant to belong to one person? A Course in Miracles gently but unmistakably challenges this inherited idea. It reframes Christ not as identity exclusive to Jesus, but as a shared reality, something universal, something present, something ours. It states Christ is God's Son as He created him. Not a son among many, not a special case, not a singular exception, God's Son. If that is true, then we are already outside the boundaries of individuality as we typically understood it. Christ is not a personal achievement, not a spiritual promotion, and not a title bestowed upon the worthy. It is a condition of being untouched by what we seem to do, think, or believe about ourselves, which raises an uncomfortable but necessary question. If Christ is what we are, why don't we experience it? The Course would answer simply because we have chosen to identify with something else. We have learned to think of ourselves as separate bodies, separate minds, separate lives, each one competing, lacking, aging, striving. In that framework, Christ becomes something distant, elevated, almost unreachable. It becomes safer that way. If Christ belongs only to Jesus, then we are free to remain exactly as we believe we are. But the Course removes that escape route. It presents Jesus not as an exception, but an example. He becomes the demonstration of what is true for everyone. What happened? He becomes the demonstration of what is true for everyone, not the Christ in exclusion, but a brother who remembered. This shifts everything because now the phrase Jesus Christ begins to read differently, not as a unique why can't I pronounce this word? Designation, but a recognition, Jesus, who knew himself as Christ. And if that is so, then the same structure applies universally. Christ Robert, Christ Mary, Christ Sharon, Christ you. Not as something to aspire to, but something to uncover. At first, this idea can feel uncomfortable, even irreverent. It may seem to diminish Jesus, to bring him down to our level, but the Course suggests the opposite is true. It lifts us to his. It is not reducing him, it is removing the distance we invented. The discomfort we feel is not because the idea is false, but because it challenges the identity we have carefully constructed. The self we defend, the one with a history, a personality, a list of accomplishments and failures, that self cannot be Christ, and it knows it, so it resists. It argues, it says, that can't be right. I know who I am, and the Course quietly replies, that is exactly the problem. To explore the Christ is to begin loosening our grip on self we think we are, not by force, not by denial, but by gentle questioning. What if I am not this limited identity? What if what I see in others, their flaws, their differences, their separateness, is not the truth of them or me? What if beneath all of it, there is something unchanged, something shared? The Course calls that something Christ vision. It is not about seeing with the eyes, but seeing without judgment. It recognizes innocence where guilt was projected. It sees unity where separation seems obvious. It does not make people special. It reveals that no one is separate. And here is the turning point. You do not become Christ by seeing this. You remember Christ by seeing this. I'll repeat that. You do not become Christ by seeing this. You remember Christ by seeing this. The shift is subtle but profound. Because if Christ is what you are, then nothing real needs to be added. Only the false needs to fall away. Every grievance, every judgment, every sense of lack or limitation becomes a veil over what is already there. And each moment of forgiveness, true forgiveness, the kind that releases rather than overlooks, becomes a quiet unveiling. Not dramatic, not grand, just a soft recognition. There is something here that has never been harmed. And that something is not personal. It is the same in everyone. So when we say Christ, we are not speaking of a distant figure in history. We are pointing to a present reality, one that cannot be seen with the body's eyes, but can be known in moments of stillness, in flashes of peace,
in the absence of conflict. Jesus did not claim this for himself alone. He extended it. He lived it. And then, according to the Course, he asked us to follow, not in worship, but in recognition. Not look at me, but see with me. So the question returns, is Christ a name or a title? It is neither. It is a statement of what is true. And the moment we stop assigning it to one, we begin to remember it in awe, including the one reading these words. This was fantastic. And my father's favorite thing was to say, "Oh, Jesus Christ, Sharon, can't you just blah, blah, blah?" He said it all the time. So that's what Jesus Christ reminds me. But yes, that was just fantastic. Anybody
Thank you
else?
so much, Sharon.
What's that?
I said thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Oh, I love you,
I kind
Rico.
of got a little extra. Is Mickey still with us? I got a question
He
for
is.
Mickey.
He has a
Or
little hand
Robbie,
up.
but I think Mickey, I'm going to ask you,
Yes, sir.
in the pointing, is there a difference between Christ's vision and Christ's consciousness?
In the pointing,
Well, I mean, they're pointing to something, and that, yeah, I call it in the pointing.
I think that we all have our definitions. You know, those are incredibly broad terms. Conscious, you know, what do you want to label consciousness? There are some people who label consciousness as the oneness. There are some people who label consciousness as the dream. You know, that's the second level. There are some people, you know, the word consciousness has such a broad term, but Christ vision in the Course does have a definition, and that is looking through the eyes of peace and non-judgment as opposed to fear and judgment. So that at least that's my understanding of those. You know, consciousness, you listen to one teacher and they're defining consciousness as one thing, and you listen to another teacher and they're defining consciousness as something completely opposite. It's the same thing with the word mind. I know that Michael Singer uses the term mind um, as something limiting, whereas in the Course, capital M mind is the one mind that we all are. So, geez Louise, you know, words.
You gave me what I needed. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's why I asked.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you for that essay, Robert.
And the essay reminded me a lot of what Dove always says. He says, Christ is our family name. It's like a last name that we all have. There's Rico Christ, and there's Rick Christ, and there's Sharon Christ. You know, we all have that same last name. So that's what we all are. So thanks. That was great.
Beautiful
Thank you.
clarity.
We have time for another short one. What?
Yes, we can.
Michaela, do you want to pick something?
Okay. Let me look. Let's see. I'll pick A Call for Love.
Okay, and I saw that. There it is. Okay. And do you feel like reading that?
Yeah, I'll read it. Let me
Okay.
see. I'm on my phone, so let me try to expand it. Okay. A Call for Love, one of the earliest ideas from A Course in Miracles that truly rearranged my inner world was this single sentence. All behavior is either an expression of love or a call for love. When I first encountered it, I did not yet grasp how complete it was. I only sensed that if it were true, then much of the way I interpret the world would have to be gently but firmly undone. Until then, I believed anger meant anger, attack meant attack, insult meant insult. I experienced other people's behavior as something being done to me. I reacted accordingly. I defended. I withdrew. I countered. I stored grievances like evidence. This sentence removed all of the all of that footing. If all behavior is either love expressed or love requested, then nothing I see is personal in the way I thought it was. Anger is not proof of malice, it is evidence of fear. Withdrawal is not rejection, it is uncertainty asking for reassurance. Even attack is not the opposite of love. It is love forgotten and calling out in the only language the mind still remembers. That realization dismantled my justification for grievance almost overnight. I could no longer tell the old story that someone had taken something from me. Nothing had been taken. Something had been asked for. The Course did not invite me to tolerate abuse or deny boundaries. What it invited was far more challenging: to stop assigning guilt to cries for help, to stop pretending that I was innocent and others were guilty, to stop using offense as a shield against vulnerability. What changed most profoundly was not how I saw others, but how I saw myself. I began to recognize my own irritation, sharp words, and silent withdrawals as calls for love as well. I was not failing at love. I was asking for it badly. This idea stripped anger of its drama. It did not make the world suddenly kind or calm, but it made it intelligible. And once behavior became intelligible, it lost its power to wound me in the same way. There was nothing left to fight against, only something to be understood. The impact of this is still difficult to describe because it does not announce itself loudly. It works quietly, dissolving the meaning I once assigned to conflict. Over time, insult became less believable. Grievance felt unnecessary. Personal rejection lost its narrative. What remained was a simple, uncompromising clarity. Whenever love is not present, it is being asked for. And once I saw that, I could never quite unsee it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
Comments?
lovely, Rob. Very lovely. I like that.
Thank you all. I think it's been a good session this afternoon, this evening, whatever time it is where you are. I want to thank everyone for participating and helping and what?
We're looking for translating.
Well, we did say that earlier, honey.
We did?
Yes, I announced that. We are looking for translators, Bob said. We're going to try and get as many things translated as we can. And Bob had a good session with a gentleman earlier today who's interested in starting off with one of the books. Both so we can make it available to a larger group of people and to give more people access perhaps to the things that A Course in Miracles. And the person who does it gets some income as well. So, any other comments? I think it's been a good evening.
Yeah, it has been a wonderful evening. I enjoy listening, and I appreciate it that people come in and they all choose to share. It's such a great thing to hear the different people reading and going through these essays. So thank you so much, Robert, and thank you everyone who came in and who participated. And grateful for all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And sending our appreciation to the City of Hope, who is working with our dear friends to keep them alive and living in our world. I'm grateful that they're there for you, and I'm grateful that you have access to that. So, and I know it'll be nice when you get home, but then you have to just turn around and come back. So I know it's a trying time for you all, but I appreciate you coming here from that. So thank you so much.
Now, thank you, Lynn, for your support and understanding as well. I'm just thankful that I am here and I'm receiving the treatments that I'm getting, and I have a lot of belief that things are going to turn out okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I join with you in that belief. I'm holding you in light. All right, you guys, I love you all.
Thank you so much. God be with you.
Thank you.